Hello, hello. Hello, Micaela. Hello, Carla. Well, let's think everything is ready. So, hello, divine being. This is the True Self Talk that happens every Tuesday and Thursday, where the goal is not to bring you more absolute truths, but rather to open space for new perceptions, new perspectives, so our questions can change. I am Ella Morello, and this is the episode number 66 called How Your Ego Hinders Your Spiritual Evolution. So before we start, I want to remind you about the self knowledge and spiritual workshops that I give for free online a couple of times a year. So stay tuned here on the social media channels so you don't miss the opportunity of this gift. If you guys have any questions, comments during this talk, please send them here because I learned how to look at them and don't lose them. So now I will make sure I don't lose anything that you write to me. So let's go to the point. We're going to talk about our ego and our spiritual evolution. How our ego affects our daily life by all the negativity that we feel and how it interferes in our spiritual evolution. So, if you're looking for peace, to feel balanced, to feel harmony in your life, to feel satisfied, anything, to feel good, to look at life and say, life is great and I know it. You know that those feelings that sometimes we have a glimpse of it, but at this point, you want to live there. So if that is your case, watch this talk until the end, because learning how to identify our ego is the only way we can transpose it. And by transposing our ego, that's how we can get and live the life that we deserve, that we aim, that we truly want to live. Okay, so from the beginning, the ego is the essence of the 3D, of the third dimension. I am not sure if you know what, or if you have heard that before about third dimension, fifth dimension, that Jesus is in the 13th dimension. That doesn't matter. I'm gonna talk a little bit here so you understand um, what those dimensions mean. So each dimension of reality has a distinct set of laws that govern. Okay, so in these laws, um, we understand what the beings can and cannot do in them. Okay, we are living in the third dimension, which is the dimension of separation. Also, this reality, this realm, this dimension that we live in, it's dual, has to do with duality. What do I mean by that? Well, for us to perceive the hot, we need to perceive the cold. For us to perceive the day, we have to perceive the night. And we see that as two different things, actually, as two opposite things. Okay, this is the third dimension. And why the ego is the essence of this dimension? Well, the ego labels, the ego identify with the mind. So that's why it's our ego that judges. Something is good, something is bad, something is um, beautiful, something is ugly. But we're gonna go there, get there in a little bit. So we understood that in each dimension, the laws are different. So in this one, we perceive things separate. So we don't perceive things as one, right? In general, lower dimensions, for example, this one that we are living right now in, they are dense, they are rigid, they are complex, they have like, they are narrowly focused, they have lower frequency vibration or energies, and a really great sense of individuality. Because of their lower frequency, there is not much knowledge and self-awareness. We as human look at this as something bad, as something negative. And this is not true. Okay? The fifth, let's talk a little bit about the fifth dimension here, which is whenever we are in this spiritual world, maybe you already heard about it or whatever. What is the fifth dimension? So, first of all, there is no separation. So, for example, let's say I told you about the hot and the cold. We here in this dimension perceive it as two opposite things. In the fifth dimension, since there is no separation, we perceive one energy with two different polarities. Something is never right or wrong, something simply is. Okay, so in the fifth dimension, there is no separation, basically. And in general, higher dimensions are light, transparent, flexible, less complex, more broadly inclusive. They have higher frequency, as I already said, and they have, obviously, they bring more knowledge and awareness, a bigger sense of we are all one, of oneness, less individuality. And as of right now, I might say that we humans see that, as of right now, living the third dimension, as heaven. Maybe that's how we imagine heaven. And I want to talk to you about something interesting. In the spiritual world, uh, the ego does not exist. The ego exists only in this reality that we live right now, in this density. It is said in the spiritual um, world that whenever we disincarnate, so whenever we are not in this realm, identified with this vehicle, with this meat, with this body, whenever we die, our ego die with us here. And in there, in this other realm where only our consciousness or our soul exists, there is no lies, everything is transparent. And why there is no light? Because everyone knows everything about everyone. Look how interesting. Whenever we're reading and studying about the characteristics of the fifth dimension, the first one I told you is light, transparency, flexibility. So it is safe to say that our ego in this dimension is responsible for all the negativity we feel, for all the struggles, the pain, the comparisons. Why? The ego separate. So if I'm comparing myself to someone, at some point I'm going to feel superior, which my ego is going to feel great, and I'm going to have the little glimpse of pleasure until I look at someone and I feel less. Because if I am capable of feeling one side of the coin, I am capable of feeling the other side of the coin. And that's how we live our life. I feel super happy. I feel sad. Life is great. Life is terrible. That person is a good person, or that person is a bad person. The 100 law. There in the fifth dimension, we see things as they are. There is no need for label. Okay, so maybe we're gonna get into that in a second. Let's go back to the ego before I go to another dimension here. So the ego is the essence of the third dimension. Once again, the ego only believes in the rational. Um, and because we believe, that's how we are wired to think, right? Our brain, that's how it does in this reality. Because we believe we're separate from everything there is, we believe we're separate from God. And when we believe we're separate from God, we lost our power. There is this beautiful quote, and I don't know exactly how the quote goes, but it says something more or less like this: one drop of water contains in itself the whole ocean. Try to think about this sentence, and also think about something. Did you know that in our DNA, 5% of our DNA contained all our information, and that 95% is still a mystery to the science? So, if we look at our DNA, 5% talks about us, how we are, contain our information and everything. 95%. So, isn't it safe to say that all the absolute truths we have are truths just up to some point, because there is so much to us that is a mystery? Well, going back to our to our line of thought, in the higher dimension. Okay, so what I believe, when I told you right now, for us to think about this mystery, right? I believe that we are here, and the spirituality, the spiritual teachings teach us that we are here to evolve. And we are going to go into the misconceptions of that understanding, okay? If you believe that you are here to evolve, great. We already know there is something else beyond this thing that we identify with, that we are aiming to accomplish, to touch. In this case, to evolve. If you are a person that haven't thought about that or don't believe in that, but honestly, you want to feel good, because the life that you are living, there's a lot of pain, you're always worried, there is anxiety, you don't somehow, it doesn't make sense to you. Honestly, it doesn't matter truly your beliefs. It doesn't matter why you want to be listening to this talk, why you want to be in this journey. The result, the end, that doesn't really matter. What matters is when we understand that it is through our internal work that we can actually change the way we live our life. Doesn't matter which beliefs we have. Okay, at this point, I'm going to tell you that the spiritual world says that whenever we are here working to our evolution, and we are in the third dimension, so we are aiming to go to the fifth dimension. And whenever we are there, we understand that we are Christic. How do I say that? We are Christic consciousness. Since we are still in the third dimension, right now we can feel this Christic consciousness through our love. Sometimes we call it higher self, or simply consciousness. So the consciousness, I want to invite you to truly go inside of yourself right now and start understanding this. Our consciousness is different from our ego. We are our consciousness, we are our true self, and we have an ego, and we have a body. So imagine a car. Usually, when we are not awake, when we are not aware, when we are too identified with this third dimension reality, which identifies with things. For example, Whenever we allow our ego to be in the driver's seat, which, by the way, most of humans are still in that stage. But right now, our planet frequency is rising. And we as humans are being called to actually elevate our frequency as well. And that's why, maybe why you're here. Maybe why this information that is ancient information is finally coming to surface and us having quick access to it. So when our ego is still in the driver's seat of our life, we identify with everything. Meaning, you look at yourself and you say, this is my name. I am a lawyer. I am a mother. My husband, my partner, my girlfriend is this. I am successful or not successful. I graduated in this. So you got it. So these are the identifications. Whenever we allow our ego to be in the driver's seat of our life, we truly believe that we are that. And that's why ego equals fear. In the fifth dimension, the fifth dimension equals love. The third dimension equals ego equals fear. Why? If I identify with all these things, it's natural that I'm afraid of losing those things. I am afraid of losing all my money. I am afraid of not of losing my work, my how people see me, my reputation. Whenever we are living from our ego, we are afraid of losing things. Why? Because the ego believes that it is that. How many people, how many stories have you heard of people that I don't know? The kids leave the house and the mother doesn't know what else to do. She was so identified with being a mother, with having that role. And when the kid leaves, that person doesn't even know who that person is. Same thing as when people retire. A lot of them are like, what's going on? So whenever the invitation is for you to put your ego, because I'm going to talk why the ego is important, into the passenger seat of your life and bring your consciousness, which is your true self, to drive the car of your life. Your true self, your consciousness, is what I told you, which is you are part of God. One drop of water contains the whole ocean within itself. We are in an evolutionary journey. And right now we are in the third dimension. Hopefully, we're going to keep evolving to higher frequency places where we're going to reach the frequency, maybe, who knows, of the great masters. What the spiritual teaches us is if we are here, as of right now, all of us in the third dimension, is because we all are working towards evolving, towards transposing illusion, the illusion that we still believe. I have, for example, that we are the things that we believe we are. And now I'm going to tell you a little bit about tricks here. So, of the ego, because there is also the ego of spirituality. That's the beautiful one. But, anyways, as I told you here, about this understanding, the spiritual word says that we are here evolving, right? The idea is to ascend from fear into love. And look how interesting. I always ask myself in this, anyways, in my quests, which was why? If we are spiritual beings, why do we incarnate? Why are we here living in this density, in this reality? And the reason why is in here, spiritual teachings tell us we evolve extremely faster than whenever we are in another realm, whenever we are simply, whatever you want to call it, a soul, just consciousness. In here, we are living in a planet school where if you are just a little bit aware, open your eyes, do a little bit, just a little bit of self-knowledge, you'll see that life Doesn't happen to you, but through you. And all the pains that we feel, all the family we were born in, nothing is by chance. That family, we chose, whatever, trying to put this into words, to be born there. And why? Because though those exact aspects would help our soul to evolve, would bring to the surface our deepest pains. If you believe in reincarnation, as the spiritual teachings say to us, karma, you probably heard about it. But I don't want to go into the karma part, but just to bring a little bit of ideas here is we come with already internal content material, strengths and pains. Don't get me wrong, it's not just the bad. Remember, in this dimension, we judge pain, good and bad, and so on. So we come with this internal content material. And it's interesting because even though us humans, since we are in the same level here, we are just going to feel exactly the same pains in different levels. Because my biggest pain might be because I always feel alone. I'm going to be born in a family that is going to bring that to the surface for me to maybe be able to transcend that. Be able to actually look at my ego, transpose my ego, and leave from my illusion into reality. Maybe your pain is exclusion. And you are gonna be born in a place, or you're gonna create situations in your life, or have friends and so on, that is gonna bring to the surface this pain. So you will have the ability to work through that. So look how interesting. I told you here that we are living in the third dimension, right? And we are here in a planet school for us to evolve. And actually, the ego is gonna die with us here. So look how interesting. Our nature is something that we are supposed to look at it and say, I see you, but I want to vibrate differently. And I'm going to transpose you. And that's what I'm talking about, transposing our ego, which is everything that we feel negative in our life has to do with our ego. So look how beautiful this invitation is. And I want to ask you something. Are you going to waste your time here? You're alive already, right? For the yes or for the no. If you believe in ascension, in evolution, well, if you believe in that, you're going to do your best not to lose this time that you are here in this plane, in this realm. If you don't believe and you simply just want to live better, because come on, all this anxiety, all these frustrations, all this pain, life, sorry, it shouldn't be that way, right? Doesn't matter, again, doesn't matter what is your reason. What matters is we have a way. And let's look at our ego. Because whatever your belief is, looking at our ego and understanding what is my healthy ego and what is my unhealthy ego. Whenever we understand that, the unhealthy ego, we are able to transpose it. And then I can assure you what there is beyond the walls that our ego creates around us is the place where you want to live, is the life you want to live. Oh, any aspiration you have, it is beyond this wall that your ego has created around you. So let me give you, basically, just super basic, what the ego, the healthy ego, does. Ego is a part of us and should be in the car with us, not driving our life. It should be in the passenger seat. The ego is the guy who organizes. Literally, the game planner. Meaning, you have an idea, you have a intention. Let's say you want to go back to school. I already gave this example another time, but anyways, you want to go back to school. Well, that's your intention. What does your ego do? Oh, wow, okay, let's organize to make this happen. So she's going to need time. She's going to need self-worth. So self-worth in order to say, okay, I'm going to go there and see what it takes for me to get to the school. Then I'm going to need time to study. Then I'm going to need time to dedicate to this. The ego is that part of us that makes our intentions be able to manifest here. We need our healthy ego in order to organize the game plan. Everything else is our unhealthy ego. What is everything else? I like to sum this up in three um, qualities, characteristics, which are fear, pride, and obstinacy. For example, whenever you feel like I'm going to be who I am and I'll stay where I am because that's how I am, and people have to accept me. This is your ego. Or, and I can't do different. This is your ego. Remember, the ego does not want you to open this wall, to transpose it. So stay here inside of what you already know, because that's safe. Because in here, I am alive. And why the ego makes you be afraid? Well, I already told you, the ego dies here in this plane. So it tries everything to trick you in order for you to identify with it. It's going to make you believe that if you are not the best person compared to others, you are going to die because you're going to lose your job, because your partner is going to choose someone else. Look how we fall for the ego's trick. Another one, I'm better than you. I need to prove to the world how great I am. If you really are true to yourself, you will see that in some level you feel that. Maybe in areas of your life more than in other areas of your life. Right? So for example, you might see that you feel a lot like this in your work and you feel something else in your love life. Doesn't matter. This is all your ego identifying with things. Remember, right and wrong. There is no, let me tell you this since it came right now. There is no right or wrong path ever. You know, when we are confused, by the way, the ego makes us confused. That comes from our fear. And when we are confused, we don't do anything, we don't move. So look how interesting. Sometimes when we are in life, should I go right or should I go left? Should I take this job or should I stay in this job? Should I? Any confusion. And we are trying to have any type of control over something. And control is an illusion. Control is a part of the ego, because let me tell you something. Everything might change tomorrow. Even though the things you thought you had under control. But the point is, you see the fear, the confusion. And I'm telling you here, from the spiritual point of view, there is no right or wrong. Because if you choose the right path, let's say literally the left path, let's put it this way, the left path, you are going to have situations, things are going to happen to you, you're going to meet people in that path that it's going to put your soul in places where you're going to be invited to grow. If you decide to go right, it's going to be different people, different situations, different scenarios, but still your soul is going to be put in situations to grow whatever it came to learn here. If we are vibrating in this dance, the third dimension, we are aiming to the fifth. We are here to transpose that, to transmute that. And as I said, we are all in the same level, okay? The whole difference is my pain might be different than your pain. We are all in the same boat. So it is so important to do the internal work. Okay, going back to the examples of the ego. Another one, which is anxiety. I think I already told you about this, right? Apprehension. All of this makes us, whenever we are confused and we don't move, it makes us stay in this prison. It's like we never know what true freedom truly is. And the true freedom is beyond that wall. That's what I'm inviting you to do. By the way, if you have not watched the other live I have here, is number 65 for the ego, talking about the ego, I gave you practical examples on and exercises on how you perceive the ego. And okay, this is my unhealthy ego. Now I'm going to do this exercise in order to um, diminish the ego, the unhealthy ego, transpose the unhealthy ego. So watch is the number 65. There, I just don't want to repeat myself here. Uh, Another example to finish the examples that I want to give, which is a really big one that our ego does and has everything to do with the spiritual world, is that's man, the ego has the tricks that sometimes when I look at my ego, I'm like, are you serious, man? Like, I'm aware I'm looking at you and I can't believe I fall for it again. It's something. Look how beautiful this one is. The ego of the spirituality. So whenever we start this path, right? Why do I say, by the way, in all the beginning of my talks, my goal is not to bring you more absolute truths, but rather for your questions to change? Well, it's our ego plays a trick like this. Okay, you want to evolve, you want to uh, be more spiritual. And then it goes, and then you start working, you start meditating, you start learning things, you start doing whatever it is. And at some point, your ego start looking at others, believing that you are more evolved than others, and that you have to help others because poor them, they did not have the knowledge that you have, or because I want to be a better person. Guys, let me tell you something about this ego. It's crazy because in reality, we are here to self purify our own selves. If we help others in the middle of the way, great. But what are the tricks it plays? Whenever he says, I have to be patient because I know better. Obviously, it doesn't say this way. You truly feel inside, oh my God, poor that person doesn't know better in life, and I'm so spiritual and I meditate. Listen, this is a trick of your ego, literally separating you from that person because the ego separates and making you feel superior. And as we know, whenever we feel superior, we also feel inferior. Once again, third dimension. We are seeing ourselves separate from that person. So that's a big one that I think it's kind of funny. I think I went through that a couple of times until I understood that, oh wow, there is even a saying that says, before I was naive and I wanted to change the world. Now I'm wise and I'm changing myself. That's the only thing we can do. Actually, that's what we came here to do, self purifying. And when we do that, even not doing nothing, you are already impacting people around you. By the way, remember, your energy is going to start vibrating higher. People around you will be impacted. Okay, so just, anyways, going back to that part of the ego of spirituality, when you think you're better than others or you know more than others. Another one for us to pay attention, be careful not to change one mask for the other, to change one absolute truth for another absolute truth. The fifth dimension, the evolution, is flexible, it's open. It is. This is what I know today. Tomorrow, since I'm spiraling up, I will know something else. And that's okay. So, when I invite you to bring your consciousness to the driver's seat of your life, of your car, it is. How do you do that? First of all, look at your ego. Start understanding. Tell yourself, because the ego is what gives us pain. Okay, whenever we compare ourselves to others, whenever we judge others, there is nothing to do with the other. Truly, it's our ego trying. Look how, oh my God, can you believe that person did that? Can you believe? Or when we are looking for acceptance, sometimes we're trying to help others because we believe, oh my God, our ego wants us to believe how great we are. And truly, what we want from that person is we want to feel loved. We want the other person to say, oh, look how great that Ella is. And I know it's hard for us to tell us this. Honestly, we are lying to ourselves for so long. Our ego is so smart that the first step is let's start looking at our ego, allowing the ego to speak to us and catching ourselves. We don't have to do anything about that. You just have to bring your consciousness. Who is our consciousness? Is that guy that observes. Do you know when you have those thoughts that doesn't stop in your mind? There, you are identified with your thoughts. Whenever you have thoughts, I invite you to do something. Take a zoom out and from your consciousness, look your thoughts. And you're going to be like, holy crap, my mind is having a lot of thoughts, but they are not me. Whenever we're able, usually people are able to reach this in meditation. Maybe you can just try looking in your daily life and you will be able to do that. But the invitation is remember, there is this part of you that is the observer. That's your consciousness. That's your true self. And I'm inviting you to put the true self, your consciousness in the driver's seat, and your ego right here. So you observe the ego. And when you observe the ego, you can start asking yourself questions. Oh wow. You need applaud for? And you start giving yourself those things. Anyways, this we talked in the other life of the ego. And I just wanted to give you a formula today because I already went over. I think I went to another dimension, but I hope I have brought you some new questioning so you can, start thinking about that. But I wanted to say something to give you this formula. In this fifth dimension, let's say, this is really different, okay, than us thinking positively. Because I'm telling you, the ego is um, is responsible for our negativities. I'm not saying here for you to simply think positive. I'm telling you here to do the internal work. And through your internal work, your life is going to change. So, in this reality, we need to act. Illusion would also be for me to be here saying, I am a Christic consciousness and I have power, which I do, but we are living in this dimension. And now I'm just going to think positive and everything's going to happen in me. Unfortunately, I have some news, which is we are here to work. No one came here for a walk in the park. No one came here in vacation. Our spiritual work needs effort, needs work. Okay, so the first thing we have to understand is I want to agree to be here, is I want to do the work. Great. I already know what causes me pain, what doesn't allow me to live where I want to live, what doesn't allow me to live from my highest power. Great. What do I want to understand? Miracles does not exist. I have to understand and start vibrating higher in order to be able to manifest as a Christ consciousness. So look how many layers of illusion we have to clean within ourselves. But to make it simple today, I want to give you a formula of this reality. Because our dreams, do you know that dream that you have inside that you always want? That's your consciousness telling you and guiding you. If you do this, you're going to learn. That's what your soul came to do. Our ego is the one who create the problems, who create the obstacles. Okay, so how we are going to deal with that? We need to understand what do we need in order to manifest our reality? Knowledge, skill, and action. What do I mean? Knowledge. I cannot decide tomorrow to become a cardiologist if I haven't studied medicine. And because I am this, I am a manifester, let's put it this way. Look what I'm talking about, the illusion of this manifestation thing that is a lot said nowadays, right? Because you do have the power, but we need to do the work in order to be able to use the power. Because if I'm here, oh, tomorrow I'm going to be the best cardiologist in the country, but I haven't studied medicine. Really? So that's not going to happen. Don't lie to yourself. You already do that without even wanting. So don't do that to yourself. Knowledge. Whatever you want to accomplish, you need to go find the knowledge that you need in order to be able to manifest that. Skill. Everything is practice. We are not gonna simply one day wake up illuminated. We are not simply going one day to go to the gym and leave the gym fit because we want that one day. Everything is a skill. Looking at our ego, doing the internal work. This is not for people with gifts and talents. No, it is for people that decide, that want to be consistent, that want to change their life. We have to decide. It's not going to happen in miracle way. Whenever we decide, we start practicing. And guess what? It becomes easier and easier for us. We get skill. We learn that. Oh, wow. I used to fall so much in this hole. Let's say the opinion of others were super important to me. And I fought so many times in that hole. But now I already know that hole is coming. Let me woo. Do you think this happens through miracle? No. It's through your internal work. And now you're not gonna fall there in that hole anymore. There are techniques for you to work on that. I give for you here so many. So watch the talks. There's so many that you can use. And the third one is action. Action. If you are afraid, remember it's your ego wanting you to be inside those walls. Think about the ego as a house. You want to have a house, right? You want to have a consistent house. However, you don't want to be locked in your house. So your house would be your health ego that organizes the game plan. And look how interesting. We will need our ego, which is the guy who organizes the game plan, that gives us the power to bring our intention put to action. We will need the ego in order to transpose the ego. Got it? How no one came here to in vacation? So maybe this always catches me. Holy crap. Use the ego in order to transpose the ego. It is like that. So again, let's us, action, decide. And if you are afraid, whatever it is, maybe it is to doing your turn of work, maybe it is to get another job, whatever, action, whatever it makes you afraid is your ego. So let's invite our consciousness to the driver's seat. That's what we came to learn. If you believe in evolution, if you don't, if you want to live better, same thing. Use other names and all good. So I hope this talk has brought you some fire inside. I have been really working on this couple of days. And anyways, I want to thank you for being here with me, sharing with me the most valuable resource you have, which is your time. Remember, we're here together in this beautiful journey called life. And I just want to thank you for being here with me. So I will see you next time, next Tuesday. And bye bye. Have a great weekend.